Good morning. Good morning to everyone present here.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning.
So we will start the live session now. So namaskaram.
I'll start.
So in the
Kartika.
legacy of Indian classical.
Kartika.
Yes, Anna.
Yeah, I'll start the introduction.
Then yes. Oh, right.
Sir,
So we have our yes. We have our volunteer Shri Chinmaya ji here, so he will be welcoming the artists, and we also have the students of Carnatic Music Workshop joining with us and several other volunteers. So I request Chinmaya ji to begin the introduction.
Namaskar. Vanakkam. Good morning, friends. I'm Chinmaya Arjun Raja, volunteer SPIC MACAY, speaking to you from Chennai. On behalf of SPIC MACAY, I welcome you all this morning for the interaction with the eminent violinists, Vidwan Lalgudi, GJR Krishnan ji, and Vidushi Lalgudi Vijayalakshmi ji. Namaskar, Krishnan ji and Vijayalakshmi ji. Your father, the legend Shri Lalgudi Jayaraman ji, was a great supporter of SPIC MACAY. We have very fond memories of interacting with him during our college days as a SPIC MACAY volunteer. You are also continuing that same tradition and supporting our movement. We are very honored to have you both here today. We have a young volunteer, Kartika from Bangalore, who will interact with you and ask you questions. I'll come back to ask 1 or 2 questions. Over to you, Kartika.
Thank you.
Kartika, you are there?
Will you please something?
I think there is some technical thing with Kartika. She'll be joining back fast.
Chinmaya ji, we can start.
Yeah, I'm going to start with. In fact, she's supposed to do the introduction. I'll start with the introduction till she joins. Is that fine?
I can see.
Kathy has joined.
Yes. I'll start with the introduction. Thank you, Chinmaya ji, for welcoming the artist. Okay. So, if I have to introduce GJR Krishnan Anna and Vijayalakshmi Akka, it is going to take more than 1 hour. So, I will briefly introduce them. So, in the legacy of Indian classical music, Lalgudi Shri GJR Krishnan and Lalgudi Vijayalakshmi have made their own eternal space. Being the heirs of the they continue to nourish and carry forward the legacy handed over to them. Shri Lalgudi GJR Krishnan portrayed into formal study of music at the tender age of 5 with his grandfather Shri Lalgudi Gopala Iyer, and thereafter found a guru for life, his father Shri Lalgudi Jayaraman. A top grade artist with All India, GJR Krishnan has several accolades like Senior Fellowship from the Ministry of Culture, Sangeet Natak Academy, and in 2017, he, along with his sister Lalgudi Vijayalakshmi, received a prestigious Indra Shivasailam Endowment Award, the first ever instrumentalist to receive this particular award. So, in addition to his solo, duet, and trio concerts that he does with his sister and his father, Shri Lalgudi Jayaraman ji, he has performed with various musicians and instrumentalists in Carnatic music and Hindustani music and various collaborations with foreign artists. So, a few among them are Shri Semangudi Srinivasa Iyer, Shri P.N. Seshagopalan, Shri Maharajapuram Santanam, and he has performed in various concert halls abroad as well, and with Ustad Shahid Parvez, Pandit Gaurav Mazumdar, Pandit Vishwam Mohan Bhatt, Ustad Shujat Khan, and so on and so forth. The list is, and he is also a torchbearer of the Lalgudi Bani along with his sister Vijayalakshmi. And they have a Lalgudi trust which does a lot of philanthropy works as well as a lot of works to promote music. And one of the noted works which has marked a place in the history of a violin repair and restoration workshop in Chennai. So this was under the leadership of James Wimmer Ludier. So from Santa Barbara, so last year in 2019, he came and trained the 4 talented craftsmen in India who could make international quality concert violins. So this was an initiative of Sri Lalgudi ji, GJR Krishnan ji, which has marked the history in the place of Indian music and world music, I should say. And we also have Vidushi Lalgudi Vijayalakshmi with us. So she is a 5th generation musician under the illustrious Lalgudi Bani, a disciple of her father. So she grew up with the music in her family and as a child prodigy herself. And she is also founder of Prithinya Trust, so which does a lot of initiatives and projects to help create awareness about music and many aspects among general public and less privileged in the society. So with the sparkling 4-decade journey long music, she has lot of awards and accolades. One of which she cherishes is that when Pandit Ravi Shankar ji said, "You have your father's fingers." And she other awards that she has are Yuva Kala Bharati, Sangeeta Kala Sadara, Sangeeta Chudamani, Tantri Nadamani, Best Accompanist Award, Kalki Krishnamurti Award, Indra Shivasailam Award, and so on and so forth. And I would like to mention their contributions during this COVID also. Both Anna and Akka, they both are very much towards the philanthropy works through their trust, as well as by on their own. They have done a lot of live concerts during this to help the people who are in need. So with Sevalaya on Guru's Aradhana, food packets to workers along the street and working children. They did a huge fundraiser to support 42 families in North Chennai, where the sole household breadwinners of the family Samarpana to help 1,000 families of folk artists. So these are all the qualities and
I think there was an interruption.
credits.
I think I'll start and go ahead and ask the first question, Krishnan and maybe Vijayalakshmi ji. So you are both the foremost practitioners of the Lalgudi Bani or the Lalgudi Gharana, as we say in the north. Can you please tell us about the Lalgudi Bani? Can you explain to us the nuances, the little nuances of the Lalgudi Bani of violin playing in Carnatic music, sir?
Yes. Namaskar, everybody. Thank you, Chinmaya, and thank you, Kartika. Our father and Guru, Lalgudi Sri Jayaraman, created the Lalgudi Bani. The foundation for which was laid by my first Guru, my grandfather, Lalgudi Gopalaya, but totally out of years of hard work, sadhana, research, and quest for perfection, and quest to make the violin replicate the human voice, to make the violin sing, to draw from others the beautiful aesthetics, and to add your own individual embellishments and make it original. These are the quests of a young mind. So this Bani was created as early as in the 1950s. My father and Guru started playing in the year 1942, where there is this Bani. When you talk about Bani, you say there is a lot of consistency about it. The test of a real Bani is it should be capable of being followed. Not only the creator of the Bani should be able to follow it, but practitioners and the students should be able to follow the Bani. It is expressing music in a consistent way, in an aesthetic way, conveying the beauty of the art. And it is rooted in the tradition, but it must be capable of any amount of innovations. So these are the essential qualities. There is emphasis laid on lyrics, which is very indispensable for Carnatic music, which is essentially vocal based. And there is enough emphasis in the Bani for Laya, and there are thicks and thins, modulation, the dynamics. And just like you allocate, when you are in a workplace, you allocate jobs to different persons, which finger should take which note at which point and which string to be used. These things have been analyzed and codified, and we are following that wonderful Lalgudi Bani, which is an inspiration not only for the practitioners of this school, but it inspires vocalists and violinists and other instrumentalists belong to other schools also. You want to add?
I would like to just add a few more points to that introduction Anna gave about the Lalgudi Bani. Our Guru, our father, was not just an instrumentalist. He was not just a violinist. He was a complete musician, a musician who created a Bani which is not based on the instrumental way of approaching music. It is just not about the instrument. The Bani itself is a bigger picture, and though he chose the violin and therefore expressed it through his instrument. It was a constant quest in his formative years. Our Guru had this constant quest to assimilate the best. And the benchmark was to approach everything that was aesthetically beautiful. Anything that was a little below the aesthetic level, it was eliminated, and whatever was beautiful, whatever was aesthetically refined with finesse was what was assimilated, and everything put together gave the result, which is the Lalgudi Bani that we see today. I'm stressing on this point of aesthetics because even the Layam, when you approach Layam, it is the melody, it is the aesthetics that you get to listen. It is only those who have very intricate knowledge about Layam, they can understand the complex patterns that are happening in the film. Otherwise, it is a music which comes to you. It is the music that engulfs you. So such is the Bani.
Yeah, very true, Vijayji. Yeah, you had mentioned once that the violin is the closest to the human voice.
Yes.
Can you elaborate a bit about the instrument itself and its entry into the Carnatic music world?
Yeah. So music, as you all know, is a very beautiful, the violin is a beautiful instrument because of the combination it has. It has the bow, which is a great gift to us. The bow helps you to give that continuity, that intonations. By intonations, I mean the way the sound fades in and fades out. The continuity, as if the human voice can hold a note for a long time. That is possible on the instrument. And also, because it's not a fretted instrument, it's a fretless instrument. So the glides are so smooth, and instead of listening to only the notes, you're able to listen to what is happening between the notes, which is what is music. So violin actually makes it very easy for us to simulate, for us to imitate the vocal voice. And we can try and give everything just like the human voice, just like a vocalist. And therefore, when we play a song, you get the effect of listening to the lyrics when we play.
To add to that, I would like to say a few things. The violin can replicate a human voice, and it can do much more than that, because the instrument has phenomenal potential. But when we speak in the context of Carnatic music, vocal music is what is expected to be performed. So any nuance, whatever is sung vocally, a competent violinist can reproduce it instantaneously. And one phrase, for example, in Begara, if you sing, that we will just demonstrate a small point.
Please, please.
So this is what we are talking about. And this is one aspect, only one dimension of the instrument that I explained. Apart from this, this instrument is so versatile because we can tune it to any Shruti. Therefore, it can be tuned to a male voice, the comfort zone of a male voice, or the comfort zone of a female voice. It is very easy to tune. And these are some of the advantages that you have as a violinist.
Thank you for the explanation, and you're playing Krishnanji. So then we'll move on to the next question. We'll continue with your father, Lalgudi ji. Your father was a great guru and more a philosopher too. Because I remember when I was a student volunteer in SPIC MACAY, coming to your house and meeting your father quite a few times. For about 15-20 minutes, he used to talk about the trees, the birds, the entire philosophy. And I'll be dazed. I'll just be looking at him. Am I speaking to a musician or a philosopher or a saint? So, not many leading performers are very great teachers as well. It's not an easy thing to teach and pass your thoughts to the students. Lalgudi was a great performer, a great composer, and at the same time a great guru teacher, a complete musician, as you had just mentioned. And aesthetics was his forte. He was a multifaceted genius. And what was his uniqueness? Can you both share your experiences learning under your father and guru? Was there any unique teaching method? Of course, we know he was your father, but was it actually in the Guru Shishya Parampara experience? How was the Lalgudi household when you were both learning from him?
So as a teacher, as a guru, what always amazed me was that he could easily explain what he saw, explain the nuances, explain what is aesthetics, such abstract things as aesthetics or proportion or bhava. All these things he could explain so beautifully, so beautifully drawing examples from nature. And his music and his approach was always very understated. When you talk about bhava, you don't overdo it. When you overdo it, probably it can appeal to a section of the audience. But refinement and understated approach is what he taught us, and his music is all about that. And also, the honesty with which everything he approached, that is something very rare to find. I have seen him teaching Tyagaraja. I mean, I have experienced, not seen. I have been in the class when he taught Tyagaraja Kritis, and he would go into a different level, explaining and empathizing with Tyagaraja's sentiments, and he will be in tears as he spoke about Tyagaraja. That was his approach to any composition. He will try to understand, he will understand completely the composer's sentiments and what inspired the composer to compose a composition, and therefore he was able to bring out the same empathy, same bhava, same emotions whenever he approached a kriti. That reverence and that honesty of approach is something very rare to find.
And one more unique quality of the great musician, the maestro, is he could come down to any level of the beginner. He can explain to them in their own alphabetical manner, citing examples of nature. See, like a waterfall, this note should glide. So when a child who is familiar with such things of nature, they can easily relate and reproduce. And whenever he traveled by train, he was totally amazed by the scenery, scenic beauty, the fields. Always nature was so inspiring for him. And we see many compositions where he has expressed music as though it is nature. When you dig deep into it, when you ask him, he will say, yeah, this is like a tree, leaf fall. This is like a river. This is like a deer jumping up the mountain. So from nature, he drew so many inspirations, and it is very easy to, and he had a childlike enthusiasm when he taught. And being a perfectionist, when somebody did not get anything, he would feel the pain as though he has not gotten it. So seeing him in a very painful state, the student will raise his level of performance and grasp whatever is taught.
True, he had his, as you heard, he had a childlike enthusiasm and a childlike curiosity to know, whatever he saw, whatever he thought. Lalgudi ji, Krishnan ji, and Vijayalakshmi ji, can you tell us about your journey from being a student and becoming a musician? How did you both manage your academics and your musical training simultaneously in your formative years? Later, when you started performing, how did you manage your time? I think your advice and your methods will help the younger generation who work under various pressure and competition.
When I started at the age of 5, since I belong to the lineage, there was already a lot of music by listening, by growing up in that atmosphere. So it was an easy start. And the first 1 year, I was introduced to only singing, vocal, learning the small compositions to sing. That was how my training started under my grandfather. And our guru was very busy then. And then from the age of 6 or 7, I came under my father's training. It is very difficult to please him as a student, to show, to raise up to his expectations, and to get a nod of approval was not easy. And he was a very demanding teacher. He was a perfectionist, and that strict discipline is something, unless the student has that maturity to see the reason and the love behind that strict handling, it is very easy for us to, lose our focus and be demotivated. That was his way of approach. And my initial training, learning period was like, those days, I think academically, it was not all that demanding. We didn't have to be good, get our points from learning a sport or doing extra courses and things like that. So we used to have very little. I used to bring back home very little homework and finish it, and then it was music. But more importantly, our holidays, summer holidays, was not about going to some holiday trip. And I have not even spent time with my cousins, which is a normal thing for anybody to do it during the summer, for cousins to meet up and enjoy. But our holidays were all about focusing more intensely and learning more things, practicing more hours of music. And we were constantly under his watchful eyes. So I had no other, I was not even aware that we had other things to, apart from music, we had other things in which we could indulge. So that was the formative years. And luckily I took English literature when I joined college. So that somehow went very well with my music, and it has only helped to enrich myself.
Pretty much similar to Vijay's upbringing, but with some 2 tablespoons of more strictness.
Absolutely.
And discipline. And I just had enough time to go to school and come back and sit and play. In those days, it's not like people nowadays, some people have homeschooling. And you are sure of the future and the opportunities. Of course, now we are at a very difficult point of time. But in those days, can music feed you was a major concern. So that wanted me to equip myself with postgraduate in commerce. I did study in Loyola College, and that was not enough, because when you want to take a deep plunge, so academic qualifications are like, that was totally by postal, and I also did ACS, and I also have worked in Sriram. We usually jocularly say that I usually go and attend board meetings, and very important because the chairman was a very avid Lalgudi fan. So we usually say meeting is a place where minutes are preserved, where hours are lost. So, after that point, I gave up the job And this violin, it was it is still a magic wand which makes you forget everything. And you get into your magic world. It's a best escape route. And you can totally forget anything. Initially, when I was performing with my guru, it was very tough because his expectations were very high. And initially, my objective was to deliver whatever was taught. Then the artist in you develops. You start appreciating. First, the Rasika should be woken up. That's what our guru also did. We should be able to appreciate not only your school of music, but the music around. Draw inspiration, draw the beautiful points from other schools and other vocalists, not only of this genre, but from ghazals, from bhajans, Lataji's bhajans. So you develop as a wholesome artist when you start appreciating, and you should have that in mind that music is greater than the musician, art is greater than the artist. So with that in mind, when you approach with all humility, it just paves way and you blossom into an artist. And when you get the approval nod or ballet or sabash or kya baat hai from your guru, what more else do you need?
Very true, Lalgudi ji. So just sharing us about your training regime. Was he more strict with you, Krishnan ji, than Vijayalakshmi ji?
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah, definitely. When we talk about the strictness, keep in mind that period was different from what we are in now.
Yeah.
Now it is all very relaxed. So compared to what was happening around us, we had a more strict, disciplined upbringing. But since I was a girl child, I don't know, I was the youngest. He was a little more lenient, but still, it was not easy to, face his demands of as a teacher and to just go with the flow. It was not easy. But definitely, Anna had a more disciplined rigorous training.
But absolutely no regrets regarding that, because we are what we are because of those strict years of training and learning.
Yeah, thank you. And you both perform duets, and they are quite popular not only in India but all over the world, and you have a huge fan following. In your duets, we find that you complement each other seamlessly, whether it is a Ragamalika, or Swara exchanges, Alapana, and even playing the compositions. We also, at the same time, we also notice your individual styles under the broad Lalgudi Vani. How is that possible? And can you share a little bit more about that with us?
I just started, and you can elaborate on it.
Yeah.
The Bani, the strength of the Bani is, it has a consistency about it. It has some rules about it. But at the same time, it awards you with ample freedom to show your individuality and to blossom, and for a new style within the Bani to blossom. So that is the beauty of this Bani. And this is not a deliberate attempt to deviate from the Bani that has come out of this. Your personality in this instrument, through this instrument, your personality, when you play a note, it comes out. So your experience, the way you feel the music, the way you feel the aesthetics, the way you express, and how intense you think about music, those things shape your style and also sadhana. And that's how I'm slightly different, and you can elaborate on it.
Yeah. it is like, if I were to draw an example, it's like how a painter approaches a painting. Though the painter belongs to a school where they use a particular stroke, they use a particular way of mixing colors. Even then, what the painter creates, the painting, is according to his perspective, according to what inspires him. So it's a meeting point of your perspective, your what inspires you, your personality, and that takes expression under the frame of, or within the frame of the Lalgudi Bani. So I have found my space, I have found my identity in expressing, which actually complements, which goes well with this space.
It is not tangential.
Yeah. So when we perform together, I think we try to give two different dimensions of the Lalgudi Bani.
And over years of sadhana and practicing together, the matching of minds happen. When even in a set composition, we just embellish here and there without losing the patantara or the sangatis, as you call it, the set sangatis. So when I make a slight deviation, an embellishment, without telling her, she would be there spot on. So that is, we have a telepathic connection that happens with rigorous years of, repeated years of practice, and when you have the same goal. Thank you.
I think, thank you so much, sir. I think Karthi has joined us back. Karthi, would you like to continue? Or shall I continue the question? Yeah.
Just between Vijayaka and now, like, that surprises, each of them inspiring each other when on the stage, on those embellishments we have witnessed that. So, like, our next question is regarding the delicate instrument that they hold in their hand, and about the violin wise workshop as well. So we have seen a lot of posts that is being made that that violin, the thickness of that wood is 3 millimeters. So it's a so delicate instrument which gets, it has to be tuned properly for the climatic conditions. So have you faced any changes when you travel abroad in different climate conditions? And also about the violin wise workshop, how is the prominence of it?
I'll just divide the question. I'll tell about Violin Wise workshop. Violin Wise was started in 2013. See, whenever we had problems with the violin, the quality of repair or quality of repair, we don't blame them. There were no avenues or opportunities here for them to learn the art of violin repair. And whenever our violin developed a problem, we would wait for our foreign trip to happen so that we are sure. You won't want to, when you are sick, you don't go to a quack of a doctor. You wait for the best doctor, or you go to the next city where there is an established hospital. So that is what is happening for everybody. Those who could go to foreign countries frequently had the privilege. But for a majority of students, artists, it was a nightmare whenever there was a problem with the violin. So I was very deep within me, it was going within me that something should be done about this. My guru and father had started the Lalgudi Trust. So I thought, why not try this? Try to bring a luthier from USA. And I happened to meet Mr. James Wimmer, who had an Indian connection. He has worked in Banaras, learning this violin from Sri Venkat Ramanujam. And he said, why not? I want to come and do something for India. I have tried to the government and other agencies, but it seems to be very difficult. So I said, why not I sponsor you and get you tickets? And we started on a very modest scale in 2013. It was inaugurated by my mother. My father had passed away, and we had some 8 to 10 craftsmen. We constructed a workbench. Workbench has never been there in India for violin repair. And 2013 it happened. 2014 we didn't have it. 2015 again we had floods and a lot of challenges. 2016, and then there was wildfire in Santa Barbara. So Mr. James Wimmer was not able to come. He had booked all the tickets. And finally in 2019, he was wanting to give whatever he had learned, the entire art of violin repair, because he had had rigorous training in this field. He was a violin maker. He is still a violin maker. And we chose just 4 of the violin-wise craftsmen, trainees, and the best of them came, and now we have 4 master luthiers who will be able to produce violin which is comparable easily with international standard violins. They can be concert violins. We gave them free tools amounting to several hundreds of dollars, and we gave them a workbench each so that they have to continue and specialized tools and techniques with the help of Mr. James Wimmer. And I feel it is a great landmark achievement in the history of string instrument fraternity, because it's not just going to benefit one school, it is going to benefit the whole lot of musicians out there. About violin problems.
I don't have much to add, except I just want to say that we love the natural tone of the violin. So most of the time, we prefer to play micless or with acoustic mics. We try to avoid contact mics unless the occasion demands, like when you're playing for a huge audience of 1,000 or 1,500, and that hall is not acoustically constructed, and when it demands us to amplify our sound, we may use contact mics, but we enjoy the natural tone and timbre of the violin. I think it's true of even a vocalist. Nothing like, listening to the voice, natural voice, when it goes through the mic, and when we treat the sound with reverb and bass and rounded effect, it is something different. So we both enjoy the natural tone of the violin.